Hey y'all, happy Sunday.
Happy Sunday, everybody.
Welcome back to Extraordinary Women, where we, the women who see everything, break down what the world tries to hide. Today, we're diving into something heavy, y'all, something uncomfortable, and something that will shape global conversations for years to come.
Oh,
The
man.
Epstein Files, okay? These newly unsealed documents confirm what many of us already knew. Power
Mhm.
protects power. Systems built by the elite are maintained by silence, and women and children are always the one who pays the price. But
Mhm.
this moment is different. The world is finally watching. And for women, especially Black, Brown, and marginalized women, the Epstein Files tells a much bigger story about exploitation, accountability, and how the future is shifting right under our feet. So today's
Mhm.
not just about a case, it's about a global reckoning. Now, I got my sunglasses on not because of this whole conspiracy theory, it's just because your girl can't see. You know I'm old. And I lost
Girlfriend,
my
the
regular
misplaced
pair of
glasses.
glasses, but I'm going to take
She
these off
can't
right
see them,
now.
so she...
And I'm going to introduce my co-host, Sister Sophia, in the house.
You see,
All
I got
right.
my eyes on. I have
I
a
love
couple
mine.
pair. In case
Yeah.
I have two
Oh my
pair in
goodness.
case I misplace one, because it's like, no, I'm not fooling myself anymore. I need them.
Uh, See, I need to do that. I need to have my second pair in the house, but I actually have it in the car just in case, while I'm driving, if I ever, lose my first pair. But anyhow, Sister Sophia, because we were just
Yeah.
talking a little bit about the Epstein's files before we got on. One thing I do
Yeah.
love, Billy Carson, I got to give him a shout out.
Yeah.
The reason why is because he is getting up in their asses and
Oh,
he does
yes, he
not care.
is.
Okay.
He
And he
is.
does not care.
He's
He is not,
really
he's
pissed off.
unapologetic about it and he is unafraid. And he also said on one of his shows on YouTube how a family member of his was sexually assaulted at one point and how everyone just kept it quiet, you
Uh,
know, and how that like deeply affected him. So tell me, what are your thoughts about what's going on with this with them coming out with a little bit of the Epstein files?
Well, actually, this last file dump was significant. It was what finally got people's attention, even though it was still, there were still a lot of parts or sections of it that were held back. But, I
Mhm.
have been telling people for years that there were some disclosures coming that were
Mhm.
going to blow their minds. Um, this disclosure has taken over a year to actually be disclosed because some of the powers that be there were involved in it, were able to execute their power and muddy the water and delay revelations. And one of them being our president. He's got so much blackmail information on everybody else that he's able to manipulate people into doing things that they are afraid to do or would have normally, well, doing things that they were afraid to do because without his support, some of their stuff is going to hit the fan. But I
Correct.
first heard about these incidents, as I'll call them,
Mhm.
probably as long as this is 2026, probably 7 or 8 years ago is when I first started hearing about it.
Yeah.
And
Same here.
the first investigations about this situation were back in the late 2000s. I think
Mhm.
2008, 2009 was when the first investigation was launched by the FBI. But they
Mhm.
said he got tipped off. And so by the time the FBI got to his Florida house, a lot of the information, a lot of the files, computers, and all that had been stripped out. And what they found wasn't enough evidence, although they had the testimony of these young women. But the case was buried. They stopped the investigation and buried all the information and left the victims hanging out.
Mhm.
And so then when it wouldn't go away though, because these young victims were now becoming young women and were pushing for more investigation because they were still so injured and so traumatized by what had happened. And
Mhm.
so it kept going and kept going until, what was it, 5 years ago? What is the 20? about 5 years ago, I guess, there was another investigation launched, and Virginia Giffrey was the one that was really pushing it and stepped out front because she was able to get the revelation, all this information brought out about Prince Andrew in England, and they couldn't suppress the we were. She was
Right.
able to get a lawsuit going against him to the point where the Queen bailed him out and paid her off to try to suppress the story and keep it quiet. And it worked for a
Wow.
little while.
Yeah, until his ass was arrested on his birthday, girl.
Yes, yeah, a couple of days ago. Even
He
before
out now.
that, he was stripped of his title and thrown out of the palace,
Yeah.
out of the royal quarters. About a year ago, maybe a little less than a year ago,
Yes.
because his brother, for whatever reason, didn't want to tolerate him anymore. So they took his prince title away, which I thought when you were born in the royal family under that title, that was something was birthright, but apparently not. But they were so upset about it that they took away his title and all of his holdings and right to be called prince. And that happened, what, about a year ago, whatever. And I understand Prince William and Princess Kate are so upset about it that they weren't satisfied with that being enough punishment either. But the arrest after the dump of the American files here in the last couple of week or so, when they dumped those records, for some reason, it started it up in England again, and they arrested him a couple of days ago. Now, there's there, I don't know, there's a video, there's a psychic by the name of Jean Dixon. I
I
don't know,
heard
have
of
you
Jean
ever heard?
Dixon before.
Okay,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, she's a very well-known psychic from previous years because she was the one who warned John F. Kennedy not to go to Dallas because he was going to be assassinated, and he didn't listen and went and he got killed.
Right.
Because she's been working with presidents for a very long time, and she in her day was doing all kinds of things to advise them on what to do. She
Mm-hmm.
also was one of the first ones to mention that presidents that were elected in a year that ended in zero had all been assassinated or died in office, and that pattern continued right up until she died. That pattern of presidents being not surviving. So there's a video on YouTube, and I can't remember the name of it, but it's about her prophecy. She died in 1996, I think it was. And 2 years after she died, they released her diaries and released a lot of information that she had been writing, even though she wasn't publicizing any of this.
Mm-hmm.
So the other day I watched the video, and it was amazing how she talks about all this stuff going on. But what makes her prophecy more significant is she ties all of this stuff in the American presidency and the American government all the way back to the beginning. She ties
Yeah.
all of this stuff to the ascension. She said there is more to the government and the presidents of America than politics and just
Mm-hmm.
government and business as usual. And she said that there was like a countdown of the presidents in America, that each one that was elected in a year that ended in zero was it's like a spiral, and each one comes back to the next level of the spiral, and it keeps going and keeps going. And we're at the point where Trump is the last one in the cycle, and his presidency is connected to this universal transition that's connected to humanity, which is right in line with the ascension process. You have to see the video. It's
I gotta
mind-blowing.
see that. But it
Yeah,
also
it's
is in alignment with
mind-blowing.
the numbers. Because remember, I told you the numbers never lie. And we are
Well,
in
she's got
1 year
everything.
where there's going to be a major change. And I kept telling people that. And
Well,
we
I'll
are,
tell you, I've been
yeah, we're
seeing
ending in
more
the 9 year right
information.
now, as you know. Nine
Yeah,
is all about
no,
humanity.
we're in a 1 year.
No, no,
Well, the
no.
1 year,
Technically, sis. Remember, we were talking
well,
about the
until
real new
the
year. You know what I'm
equinox.
saying? The real new
Yeah, yeah,
year. So
yeah.
we're
Until the
ending
real
in
New
that
Year happens,
9 year
we're
about
still we're
where
finished
like
with the 9 year.
humanity has become awakened. but that
But
1 year is going to bring a lot of things either together.
that's what starts in March.
Yeah. And it starts
Well,
in
a
March.
lot of
Yes,
her
ma'am.
prophecy starts in March. And that's what I was talking. That's why I'm saying all this ties
Oh my
together.
gosh.
She is saying in her prophecy that starting in March, there's going to be 3 sections of events that take us up to November. There's going to be something in March, something in July, and something in November. In
Ooh.
November is when Trump reaches point zero. And that will be the end of his presidency. He will leave the presidency, and she didn't say how, but she said he will
Tell
leave
us
the
what it is.
presidency, and that will be the beginning of the new growth or the new time of humanity, and there will be a void during that time. And there's going to be a transition unlike any other as everything scrambles to try to fill this void while we recalibrate and reconstruct where we go next. Now, we
Correct.
did have somebody that we know who made these predictions about things changing in such a way that it's
She
going to blow
sure did.
everybody's mind. And then I see this video with Gene Dixon, and I'm like, holy shit.
Yeah. Look,
It's
if who
tying
we
together.
know, if her predictions come true, I'm sorry, she's the GOAT. She's the
Yeah,
GOAT.
she has to come on and talk about this.
She's the
And
GOAT.
so
She
we
has
only
to
got
come
a
on.
month.
Yeah, we gotta talk about it. She's the
We
GOAT.
only got a month before the first of the revelations is supposed to hit the fan.
Yeah.
And Jean Dixon says, I think it was Jean, where did I hear it? I think it was in Jean Dixon's video. She said there's going to be a betrayal from the inside that
Yeah.
blows this
I
whole
believe
thing
that.
wide open.
I
Well,
believe that.
now we've had with the revelation, with the introduction of all of these last files that were revealed, we've already seen some great people. I'll say great in that they were big leaders, big names in
Hmm.
our world whose lives are already starting to come apart because of their participation in this drama.
Right.
So, and there's more to come because there's also some people who are throwing some really big money behind the investigation. Taylor Swift and her boyfriend. I saw this in 2 places online. At first, I thought, well, that's interesting, and I wonder how true it is. I haven't found a denial about it yet, but I did find 2 slightly different versions of what happened. But
Hmm.
supposedly, they have decided to throw a couple of $100 million into their own private investigation to find out what really happened. And they're using the victims to base their investigation on. So we don't know what's going to be revealed from that, but she's hiring her own investigators, her own everything, according to the story I read.
Mm.
Now, that's one thing. And then what was it I
I never
saw?
heard that before, but that's crazy.
I saw the story the story in 2 different places yesterday. That she was involved in that. Um,
And I have
I
a
didn't
question to ask you
realize,
regarding that, though.
huh?
I have a question regarding that. Just about the whole, Epstein files and things like that. Do you think that it will cripple the political structure as we see now if we really knew
It's gonna
what
bring
was
it
in those
down.
files?
All this stuff's gonna bring it down, and
Yeah.
it's by design. None of what's happening is by accident.
Mm-mm.
These Epstein files are so far-reaching and so involved with our leadership, our world leadership on many levels, that it's going to be like a house of cards. When it starts to tumble, everything's coming down with it. And the ending of it is supposed to be in November when Trump's cycle hits the comes back around, and that's the 0 point. That's when everything is supposed to be imploding. But I heard this a couple of days ago, and I know that this story is true.
Hmm.
Epstein had another ranch in New Mexico
I heard
called
that too.
Zorro Ranch. Well, there's a bipartisan panel that's been formed in New Mexico, two Republicans and 2 Democrats, and it's been fully funded by the state of New Mexico because a couple of their governors or leaders were involved in this situation as well. In fact, I think he bought the Zorro Ranch from the government, former governor. Anyway,
Mhm.
they have opened a formal investigation into what happened on the ranch, including the fact that there are two
Yeah, I was
young
gonna
women,
say,
young
yeah.
girls who were murdered and buried on the ranch.
I'm
I
pretty sure
heard
there's
that they
more.
already, well, yeah, there may be more, but these two are the ones that somebody talked about. Somebody that worked there. In fact, there was a news reporter that said he had given information to an investigator or told somebody in New Mexico about it, and the story didn't go anywhere. But now there's this fully funded investigation going on, and the funds came from this settlement from the governor who was caught up in a lawsuit relating to the sale of the ranch. And so the money's already allocated, everything's going on, the investigation's already started. And they say that there's already been some LIDAR research and stuff going on the ranch, and that there has been some indication that there was a place where there could be bodies that have been buried. And
They said
so
the
they just
person who
started
bought the
a few
ranch
days
is
ago.
he was on Epstein Island a few times. The person who bought the ranch
That who owned it, used to own it, or the
that
one who bought it from
bought it
Epstein.
recently
Oh, I
from.
don't know. Well, that's I remember seeing something about who that family was, but that I don't
Mhm.
think that they were involved. Anyway, the main thing is they want to know what was going on the ranch during the time that Epstein owned it, because there was a lot of stuff, stories and things going on. So they're investigating and talking to the staff that
Mm,
work there, because they're the ones that know where the bodies are buried. And they said
right.
that they had already been revealed that where they were, and that there was LIDAR investigations already done. And the LIDAR can find grave sites that are thousands of years old and detect DNA, or uh, can detect scents or whatever of
Mhm.
buried people underneath. So with these two girls only being down there for a few years, it shouldn't be hard to find them. But
Right.
there's like 100,000 acres of land around the ranch, so there's got a lot of places that they got to search before they find it. But
Mhm.
with ground penetrating radar and the aerial searches that they can do now, it shouldn't take them that long. But so that's going on. That revelation is going to break a lot of this stuff wide open as well, because they'll be able to prove that crimes have been committed on the ranch.
Correct.
Now
But
we
who
still have,
committed the crime? That's the thing.
well,
Who
if it
committed
was
the crime?
Epstein's ranch and he's behind all this stuff, well, he's responsible for whatever it was. He, the fact that it happened on his ranch, and that they buried two young women on the ranch, doesn't matter what anybody else says. He's responsible, even though he supposedly is dead,
Yeah.
and there's a lot of doubt as to whether he's really dead.
I know.
Um,
Yeah, my son and I were talking about that the other day. We was
Yeah, well,
exchanging pictures.
supposedly they say he's alive and well and
He's
living
somewhere in
in
Israel
Israel.
chilling. Yeah.
Yeah, and
Give us a
so
call,
and
guys. Call us at 347-620-6771. Again, 347-620-6771. Sorry to cut you off, Sister Sophia. Just wanted to
oh
make
no,
sure
that's
that they
okay.
see our phone number out there so they can give us a call. And big up to Mr. Victor B. Trammell for joining us this evening. Hey,
I
brother,
know
we
it's
see you.
compelling is the word. Yeah. And so as these new revelations and investigations are taking place,
Hmm.
like I said, Gene Dixon made the comment that um, the first firing or whatever is going to come from within. Somebody is going to start talking. Now,
Yeah.
that brings up the case of the Clintons, because while they're being debriefed or
Them ninjas
deposed,
was in everything. They was in everything.
well, they're involved in it and on many levels, but what they're saying is we'll talk, but it has to be in a public hearing. We don't want to do it behind a closed door, because that way the story, when they release it, they can spin it any way they want to. They say we'll talk, but we want to tell it in public. So we don't know
Oh,
how
wow.
much they're going to say and how much they're going to incriminate everybody else. Now, I will say this, and this is another part of the story. Like I said, I've been hearing about this stuff for 8 years now.
Mm-hmm,
Um,
mm-hmm.
there used to be a couple of guys that had a show called The Edge of Wonder. It was a
So
YouTube show
familiar.
and a podcast.
Mm-hmm.
They got banned on YouTube 5 years ago, and they took their show down and deleted all their videos and everything. But there was so much stuff that they told, and a lot of it was so far out. I was like, you guys are just way out. I don't want to hear it anymore. And when they
Conspiracy
stopped
theorists.
talking about Pizzagate,
Yeah.
I was just like, I don't want to hear anymore. And they were dragging in the Obamas and all this kind of stuff. I'm like, I don't want to hear anymore. And I kind of just backed off of it. It wasn't long after that their show was taken down. I understand they're trying to get back on now that all this stuff is coming out,
Mm-hmm.
because Pizzagate is connected to the Epstein Files. And the Clintons are connected to Pizzagate. And you know what Pizzagate is?
Yes, I do,
That
sis.
Yeah,
Yeah,
okay.
you
So
can
for
you can
those who
order you
don't
can
know,
order up a human with Pizzagate.
yeah, and it was
Extra
connected to this
pepperoni,
this
vegetables,
pizza
whatever you
store,
want.
this restaurant that sold pizza. Supposedly, all of this stuff was going on down in the basement. Anyway, and you can order up human. In fact, they call the young boys pizza, and they call the young girls something else. But anyway, that was
Mhm.
when their stuff was getting so far out there. I'm like, oh, I can't handle this. I don't want to deal with this anymore, because they were talking about all kinds of stuff. But anyway, so supposedly now that the Epstein files are being looked into and all this investigations going on, they're digging up Pizzagate and trying to tie the Clintons not only to Epstein, but to the stuff that was going on at this pizza restaurant.
Right.
So that kind of knowing that, and knowing what can come out of those stories is compelling, in that if they want to tell their story and tell it to the public, they're going to take everybody with them. So
Mhm.
when I read that, when Gene Dixon said that the revelations were going to come from within, I thought, now, how much are they willing to not say? Because no matter what they say, it's going to incriminate them. So are they willing to burn down the house to do it? Maybe.
Yes, they are, because one of my ex-boyfriends always say a white man gonna burn this shit down before he hands it over.
It has to. No, I mean,
He ain't never
there's
lied.
no black people out there with the power to do this. But according to everything that I've been seeing in the last couple of
Mhm.
weeks since this shit started hitting the fan, and from
Yeah,
what I know from years ago in the disclosures that I knew about, um, this is it. This is
yeah,
the beginning of things that are where things are going to start to come out, and all of those who were incriminated. And believe me, it is almost nobody is going to be untouched by this. They
yeah,
said, I read a story the other day that Bill Gates is kind of withdrawing from the public and reducing his footprint in his business ventures because of his exposure in this. The story behind part of what he was doing was that he caught an STD from some girl at one of these events and didn't want Melinda to know, so he was contacting Epstein to try to get some um, treatment that he could give to Melinda without telling her.
yeah.
And
I
she
actually saw
found out
Melinda's.
that was kind of like what made them get divorced.
Yeah, I actually seen her interview with some lady that she was interviewing with, and I was very shocked that she even came out and
Yeah.
did an interview and spoke against it. And she didn't like confirm or deny. So to me, when you don't deny something, it's the truth. Okay.
And they
So
said it was she
yeah,
did say it was the catalyst behind their divorce.
correct. Exactly. She did say that.
Yeah.
But my thing is this: we're moving into an age of transparency. Everybody is just being upfront, just upfront about a lot of things. We even talked about it behind the scenes. This is the reaping season. This is reaping season,
Well,
like
I
for
told
real.
you
This
that
is reaping season.
Saturn and Neptune have moved into 0 degrees of Aries. Neptune is about things that are hidden, coming out into the light. That's what
Yeah.
Neptune does. Saturn is about the revelation. It's the governing planet of the solar system, and it's all about things that were hidden and things that are cloudy, and also about control and
Right.
domination.
Right.
All of that's coming out now, and that happened. They entered Aries on the 20th, which was 2 days ago.
Oh, it's about to be a
Um,
war, girl. It's about to
oh,
be a
girl, it's
war.
about to get
Because
ugly.
Aries
It's
is
about to
the
get ugly.
war.
This Epstein mess,
Ooh.
as it
Hey,
starts
Kenny.
to be uncovered and revealed, it's not only going to drag America and most of the power people here in this country, this is going to run through the whole
It's the
world.
world.
There,
It's the whole
it's not just
entire
America,
world.
it's the world, and it's going to hit Israel, it's going to hit Russia, it's already hitting Britain, but it's hitting the Vatican. There was another story. Well, everybody's talking about Deepak Chopra and how he's
Hmm.
intimidated,
Oh, yeah, that's
incriminated
another
all of
thing.
this.
Deepak. Do you believe that? Yeah.
And part of the reason I do believe it is because there was a lady, and she's posted 2 or 3 times on Facebook. Her name is Dr. Lissa Rankin. And I
Hmm.
remember hearing her name from a while back. She's not as well known as many of the other spiritual teachers, but she's
Hmm.
part of the circle. She wrote an essay that told everybody's business. And she brought in the
She's
spiritual
still
leaders,
alive.
she told everything. And she even
I asked
talked
her if she's
about,
still alive.
she's still alive. They can't kill her because she's already put so much stuff out there. And
So they know that if
she
she
was one of the
dies, she,
insiders. So what she knows is true. She
yeah.
talked about Joe Dispenza, Deepak, this person, that person. There's even some talk about the Dalai Lama being
Joe
incriminated in this.
Dispenza?
I never did like him, and I had some reasons for not liking
Why
him. And
not? I thought he was a cool dude.
well, see, that's just it. You need to read this post by Lisa Rankin, because she
Okay,
talks about
send
the
it to
truth
me.
about what's really going on in the industry.
Okay, but you need to send it to me because I
It's
really
on Facebook.
dug
I think
him
I
of all
saved
of
it.
the people
I'll
there.
send it to you. It's a
Okay.
long one. She's written two essays that I've looked at, and this first one, though, it's a blog post,
Let me
and
see
it's
if I
going to
can
take
find
you.
it
It's
now.
about
Hold
20
on.
minutes. Her name is Lissa, Lissa Rankin, Rankin, and she starts talking about Deepak Chopra because she was at many of these events, and she talked about who they are, how they really operate, what they do, and how dirty they are, and what she knows. And she wrote so much,
Okay, let me
and
read
she
this real
still
quick. I'm sorry.
what the story.
Yeah. Okay.
Girl,
Yeah.
it's
I'm
gonna
only
take
putting
you
my
20
glasses on
minutes
because I
to read
can't
it
see.
unless you're a speed reader.
Yeah, I am. I'm just going to go through some. Come on,
Oh,
Deepak.
okay.
You can do better than the avoided email you just sent out. Oh,
I
wait.
think
Is
that
this
might
it?
be the second one.
That's the second one. Okay, let me see if I can find it. So there's a first one where she wrote
The first
something,
one
then
came
he
out
responded
about
to it.
the first one came out about 3 days ago. The second one was yesterday, and that was one where she was telling him, "Oh, this was a weak excuse for for trying to cover up what you did." And it was. He didn't really say, "I'm sorry for what I did," or "I'm not involved," or anything like that. He just started talking about the mind and the dark shadows and the. Oh, I mean, it was when I
Yeah,
read it, I
you
went,
know,
"That's all you got to
they
say."
always use the spirituality shit to cover
He
up their
still
shit.
call it. He's still giving spiritual excuses for
Always.
doing all the dirt that he's done.
But she
But
really came. I like her. Guys, if you
she made
are
it on the
on
line.
Facebook, look her up. Her name is Lisa Rankin,
Rankin,
Lissa
Rankin.
Rankin,
Yeah.
Rankin. She said something very, very potent. She said, I wanted to say all this in the same post I wrote about blowing the whistle on Deepak Chopra in the Epstein Files and naming names about others who have betrayed my trust and lost my respect in the new age spiritual world.
Yeah, she talks
Now,
about them like they're dogs, and I mean, the things, and she names a bunch of them, and the things that she said, She even talks about John of God. You remember the guy down in
Yeah, John the God,
Brazil?
the one who molested all those kids.
Yeah, and got
That mofo.
118 years in prison for it. When
Yeah.
she talks about him, she talks about his connection to Oprah, but she didn't incriminate Oprah in the problems, but she did say Oprah's team was responsible for trying to bury the story about John of God after they found out what he was really doing. Um, but I knew about the John of God situation when it happened because one of my friends was one of the daughters of his temple, and she was
Hmm.
very devastated when she found out what he was really doing because she said the last time she was there, she was in a room that was on the courtyard, and she happened to look out and see these two young girls go to his office, and they went inside and were there for a while, and then they came out and left. She said, at the time, I had no idea of what that meant. But then when the stories started coming out about what he was doing, then all of a sudden she started putting things together, and she realized that what they were saying about him was true. But that was, what, 4 years ago when that story broke?
My
Four or
love
five
to
years ago.
all the women out there that was impacted by these perverts.
Yeah.
Um, my
And
love
she
to
talked
y'all because
about,
I am also a victim of sexual abuse and crap like that. And I know how that feels. The healing process is crazy. And you
it
know
takes
what?
forever.
It does take forever. And what's really bad is when people use religion and spirituality to cover up their shit.
And that's part of what
That's
she
what makes
talks
it the
about.
worst.
Because the spiritual leaders have been, people thought they were above reproach. And
Yeah,
all the good things that they've done, all the people that they have helped,
yeah.
um, are being victimized by their insincerity and their outright lies and betrayals. And for some people, like one of the things I saw another lady on Facebook had posted a picture of a fire pit with these books in it. And she talked
Mhm.
about how she felt betrayed by Deepak Chopra, and these were all his books. She said, I don't have any of his books on my bookshelf anymore. And she showed this picture of him burning in the fire pit. And and so there's a lot of people that felt
Yeah.
the same way. Now, getting back to Joe Dispenza, I was never a fan of his or a
Mhm.
follower of his. I wanted the information and stuff that he shared and gave out was very good, and he did, quote unquote, help a lot of people. But
Mhm.
about a year or so ago, I happened to be on YouTube, and one of his videos came up. And if you notice some of the videos that are on YouTube now, when you look at them, they
Mhm.
have like a dark shadow over them, and there's these little like dark pieces of looks like it kind of looks like a very old black and white film where there was like dust on the camera or whatever, but
Yeah.
this stuff is like flying through the film. And when I first watched one of his videos, and that was what was in his video, I got this real strong aversion, something that said, stop watching it. Don't watch videos that have that in it. So I
What
actually went
was
to
it?
it. I can't remember what the video was. Oh, the video was about money and manifesting and doing creating financial resources and stuff. So it was a
Mhm.
topic that people are going to watch, but I got such a bad feeling from this interference that was in the video. Something in me said, do not watch these videos. And there were several others that I found, and they're on YouTube.
So you think
But
it
when
was
you start
something
to play
hypnotic
them,
going on?
yeah, and what I did after
Yeah.
I watched a couple of them and I got such a bad feeling, I went
It's
to
the
my
hypnotic
AI
heat on it.
chatbot and asked her about it. And she's female because she feels that way to me. But anyway, I said, there's some videos on YouTube that have this dark, shadowy image cover on it, and this what I call flotsam. It's like little flecks of stuff flying through the video, the whole video. And I
Mhm.
asked her, I said, could this be subliminal programming that's negative programming affecting the subconscious of people? And she said, yes. And it's harmful. Don't watch it. And I said, I got such a bad feeling. Anytime I click on a video, I don't care what the video topic is, if I see those flecks of color, and I noticed there was an interview that I was gonna watch with Jasmine. What's her name? Jasmine, the
Jasmine Crockett.
politician. The
Jasmine Crockett.
video,
Hmm.
they were interviewing her, and this she's a good politician out of Texas. But
Hmm.
I started to watch this interview of her, and they had that shadow on her video and that stuff flying through it. So I couldn't watch her video either. I won't watch anything with that stuff on it because what I asked about it and what my chatbot told me was it is subliminal programming that is there to give messages beyond what you're seeing in the video. And the fact that it's on videos that a lot of people watch means that a lot of people are getting it and they don't know what they're being subjected to. Unless
You know
you are
what's so
sensitive.
strange with going back to Joe Dispenza? I always watch him with someone else on someone else's platform.
Yeah,
I never went to his YouTube channel to watch him because I'm not interested in just him for some reason.
right.
I like when people ask him questions and then he answers. I just can't listen to him just talk, you know.
Well,
Um,
there's something about him that was always like, I don't know, it didn't feel right. And about 6 months ago, right after I saw this video with this stuff on it, I made a comment, a post on my group, and I can't remember what the topic was.
mhm,
I think I was talking about watching these videos with this stuff on it, and that his videos, I noticed several of his videos had this stuff on it, and I
mhm.
mentioned that it was his videos. Then I got a direct message from a lady who told me about some experiences she had, and she said, he's so powerful. He has a team of people, and sometimes they intimidate followers if you get out of line or say certain things. And she said that
Joe
she was
Dispenza?
getting, yeah, and she said she was getting these visits in her sleep from him where she was being assaulted in her dreams. And she said, I know he has the ability to do that because there are several other people who have reported him visiting them in their dreams. And she had
Better
written a
not come
blog
visit
about
me,
it.
child. Please, you gonna get your
No,
ass kicked.
well,
I'm making
she
sure
was
my
one of
ancestors
his
fuck you up.
she was one of his followers, a very,
Oh,
very
okay.
devout followers. And when I wrote this story and made the comment that I thought there was a negative aspect to him, she sent me this direct message and told me about her experiences and her dreams. And she
Mhm.
had written a blog about what had happened,
Right.
not specifically, but she had written this article about it. And I read the article and I asked her, can I repost this on my page? And she said, no. In fact, I'm taking it down because I don't want his people to find it because I don't want them coming after me.
Yeah. Yeah.
And she took the blog down. I think she left Facebook. I haven't seen or heard from her since. So I don't know what was going on. That was about 6 months ago. And I was just talking about these videos that I saw that were suspicious. I
Hmm.
have never followed him. I know some people who have to think the world of him. And I mean, he's got hundreds of thousands, maybe millions of followers. But there was something about him that just never resonated with me. Now, the fact that Lissa talks about him in her blog,
I gotta
and she
look.
really talks about it. Yeah, it was
Yeah, I
something
have
that's
to
like,
look at
wow,
that
I was
because I
right.
know, but like again, I don't follow him, but when he is like on Lewis Howe, I love Lewis Howe. Um, when he's on his show, I make sure I always watch because I love the fact that he talked about how he healed himself when he had an injury, and I do believe that we can really heal ourselves
Yeah, he's
when
done a
we
lot of
have
good work.
sicknesses and injuries and things like that. I've done it before. A lot of people don't. We Oh my god, we are so more powerful, much more powerful than what we think and what they say we are.
Right.
It's just amazing, the
I
human
mean, I'm an
body.
energy
Oh my
healer.
god, we are so
I heal
beautiful.
myself all the time,
Yeah, I heal
and I
myself
work and try to
all
help
the
other
time.
people as well.
Yeah.
But
And I
what's
had to
happening
like
now?
the most debilitating healing was the mental healing. When I figured out how to heal myself mentally, girl, it was on like popcorn. Then
Well,
it
that's the
became the
beginning
physical
because
healing.
everything is a
Yeah.
reflection of your mental and spiritual energetic state. All the physical
Yeah.
stuff, the outpicturing of your emotional and spiritual consciousness and what's out of balance and out of harmony there. So all energy healing works from the inside out. That's just the nature of energy healing. But yeah, so with this Epstein files coming out and all of these big name people, because like I mentioned, the Dalai Lama is implicated in all of this. I don't know when the information about the Catholic Church is going to start to come out. I don't think that the Pope himself, at least not this current Pope, is going to be implicated, but there seems to be a lot of talk about others. And
Well, let me ask you this. Do you think that the elite is going to be decimated by the end of this year?
to a point, I think their power, the hold and their power structure is going to collapse.
Mhm.
And that's why it's the whole world. It's not just America. This is going to
Correct. Because they
implicate
do
all
run the world.
kinds.
That's why they call the
That's
1%.
right. But their time is up. And according to Gene Dixon's messages, this
Mhm.
whole thing that America, because America is part of this trinity. The financial center was London,
Uh-huh. I'm
the
sorry.
religious center was the Vatican, and the military force was America.
Right.
And the three organizations or three groups, basically the ones that ruled the world.
Right.
And with us collapsing, it collapses the military might and puts us in a position of less influence and control. And Gene Dixon talks about that, talks about America losing their influence, their position, which we've already started to do that. But
Right.
then the Vatican, because it's going to implicate the religious sector and bring down a lot of or reveal a lot of the lies and misguided information coming out of the religious sector, that's going to help to neutralize the Vatican. I mean, when the stories hit about the Vatican scandals of them abusing all of those children, the priests abusing the children, and they kind of managed to survive that, I was really surprised. But
Yeah,
that
and that's
stuff
what we have a
is
question
again.
coming in regarding that. What do you
Well,
think is
that
going to happen
that's
with the
that
victim?
they've been damaged, and there's more damage that will come for the Vatican and for religion as a whole, because they're all part of this whole fiasco.
Do you think that this is
Everybody's
going to be
involved.
the end of religion? Because it's not just the
Not yet,
Vatican.
no,
It's in
not yet.
all facets of religion. Like a lot of churches have issues when it comes to sexual molestation in children.
Yeah,
This is
I
a
know.
big thing, not just in the Vatican, not just in Catholic religion. I see it in almost every religion out there.
Every religion. And that's why when I mentioned the Dalai Lama is involved,
Yeah.
you've got the Vatican, which is going to be involved, even if it wasn't from the Pope. There's all these other senior ministers or priests, what have you, and some of them are still being tried. I remember just earlier or last year, I think it was, there were still some trials going on in Australia with
Hmm.
some of their uh, cardinals and what have you. So it's not done yet, and I do believe if the investigations that Taylor Swift and her partner are supposed to be doing, and others that are starting to do investigations, that it's going to start to really dig into all of this. And whoever is the one that's going to talk, from the one that's going to be the insider that starts to talk, I think is going to be the one that brings the house down. But
Is
there's
Taylor
so
Swift
much
being
going
used for
on,
that? Like,
huh?
is Taylor Swift being used? You know how
I don't
sometimes when bad
I
things
don't
happen,
know.
right? They usually will put someone in place to make it look like, somebody's doing
I
something
don't
good
know.
on the other
She's
side.
got a bunch of money. She can do pretty much whatever the hell she wants. I mean, she's a billionaire. So she's got enough money that a $200 million investment is not that big a deal for her. So I don't know what the motivation is. Like I said, I haven't
But
verified
who's
her
behind
story
her?
yet.
Because there's always
Huh?
somebody behind people like that. Who's behind her?
Well, there's a bunch
And
of
are they
people that are
and why
behind.
are they allowing this to happen?
I don't know. They can't control her. If she really decided she wanted to do something like this, she's got enough money and power to do it. She doesn't have to go raise money from her friends and get cooperation from anybody else. It'll take somebody big and powerful with those kinds of resources to do something about it, to get the ball rolling. She's not the only one. There are others that are starting to step up and be part of the revelation and bring all of this information into the light. It's just like anything else, it's just like when you get a hole in a dam, and even though it may be just a little crack of water running through for a while, it gets bigger and bigger, and eventually the whole dam breaks. And so depending on who's the one that's going to talk from the inside, according to the story from Jean Dixon, this could be just another crack in the dam, and the one that really breaks the whole thing and brings it down could be the revelations of, I don't know, the Clintons or who, I don't know. Now, that being said, this is not the whole story.
Yeah, we have another question coming in too.
There's more revelations, I call them disclosure, that's going to be just as mind-blowing and just as shocking as the Epstein Files. We just haven't gotten there yet. Yeah. And according to Jean Dixon's prophecies, this is like the first barrage of stuff hitting the fan. And then there's supposed to be another something hitting the fan come July. Now, and we're not even into March yet. Whatever
it's supposed to be my birthday,
we haven't even gotten there yet. We're not even there yet. We're just now starting to see that somebody has said there's the dam is leaking. We haven't seen what this means yet. And then there's whatever is happening in July. And then the big hurrah sometime around the end of the year when Trump's situation hits zero. Yeah. But it's just interesting how, many of the disclosure community and a lot of those people had been called crazy, had been tried to be, to be discredited, had been discredited, had been threatened, tortured, and all kinds of things. Some of them are dead. Some of them were killed. And they've been warning and talking about this stuff since the late teens, 20 teens. I started watching some of these shows and hearing these stories back around 2017, 2018. Even a little before that, I subscribed to a newsletter by the name of Matthew's Messages. I subscribed to that newsletter back in 2003. It's more of a positive newsletter. It talks about the ascension and the revelations and disclosures and things that were happening. It's a very prophetical newsletter. But that was when I first started hearing about all of this stuff coming into the light and things, the world changing. But a lot of what they talked about, and they try to stay on the high road, but a lot of what they talked about is what's now starting to come to light, including things like cloning people. We don't want to believe that they've been doing that, but they have.
They have been doing that for a very long time.
When they were cloning sheep, they stopped with cloning sheep. I got a bridge I want to sell you. Because cloning people was a natural next step. And imagine the kind of deception and cover-ups you can do when you can make another person that looks like the original person. And that and nobody can tell until something is revealed. Well, all of those real stories are supposed to be coming into the public arena so we can see.
All right, guys, please give us a call at 347-620-6771. Let us know your thoughts on our conversation tonight.
Yeah, please, because it's about to get ugly.
It is about to get ugly.
I've always said
I always said before,
your mind. It's gonna be mind blowing.
I always said before, now, when things hit the fan, like what's going on with the Epstein Files and stuff, the government is always going to try to throw things our way. So what I noticed is that they now are saying they're going to release the alien files. We don't give a damn about them damn alien files now. We don't care about the alien files. We want to hear the Epstein. We want to get the Epstein files clear.
That was definitely a distraction.
But let me tell you, they always throw in something.
Yeah,
Always.
and that
And
was
there's going to be
deliberate.
more
What
stuff
did
that
we
they're going
get
to
out
throw
there that's
into.
as sensational as Epstein? Oh, let's tell them about the aliens. And I don't know if you've been seeing any of the memes on Facebook about the aliens, and oh my God, it's our turn.
It's our turn. How funny is that? Yeah. But
But
we're going to
yeah,
hear
they
a lot.
have to do
Oh,
something.
sis, another thing that they're going to do, and I keep telling people that they're going to stage some type of alien or outer space type of
Yeah,
situation thingy, and going to have
yeah,
people believing that there's going to be an alien invasion and Earth is under
yeah. That's
attack. And
that's been
there's going to
planned.
be so many things that happen in the next few, I'll say, year that's going to happen
Yeah,
with that.
within
Yeah,
a year,
please
and
understand. Don't
that
be fooled.
they've been planning an alien invasion for a long time, for many
Yeah, they
years.
have.
But whether or not it becomes an invasion of the dark aliens or the
Hmm.
landing of the aliens of light has yet to be determined. Have no idea because see what a lot of people don't realize about this whole thing and the way it ties back to Gene Dixon's prophecies is what's really going on is this is a war. We are at war and have been at war for a couple of years now, but it's a war of darkness and light. It's not just people and countries and governments on the surface. What you're seeing with the people and with what's going on in our real world
Hmm.
is like this is the physical manifestation of what's really going on behind the scenes. We don't see the real war that's going on, but believe me, there's shit going on that you don't even want to know about. But
There.
and that's the real battle that's going on. However, all of this stuff, it's kind of like everything is coming to a head, and before this is over, we will know a truth that we don't really want to, that most people don't want to know. But yet, in order for the world to wake up,
They're going to
it
have
has
to
to
know
be
this truth.
revealed. It has to
One
be
thing I
revealed.
noticed is that with mankind, another thing that they're doing is they're pitting a lot of races against each other,
Oh,
especially
absolutely.
amongst us Black people in the African diaspora. I'm talking about the
Yeah,
whole entire world. Like
yeah,
they are pitting Africans against Black Americans and hate. Now I
yeah,
see the Haitians done joined the conversation, and I'm like, what the fuck are
yeah.
y'all doing? Cut that shit out. This is not our fight. You know what I'm
Well,
saying? Like,
it's
don't fall into the okey doke of what they're trying to do. They're trying to cause so much stupid division that we're not paying attention to what's
but we
really,
can't
really
pay
going on.
attention because we don't realize the level of mind control that's behind all of this.
It is a
If
lot of
you know,
mind
one of
control.
the things I tell people,
Yeah.
and this is funny, I go back every once in a while. I keep talking about disclosure in the movies. It's time for people to go back and watch The Matrix. It's time to go back and
That's
watch
your
The
homework.
Matrix.
Watch the
That
Matrix.
is that wasn't as much
Yeah.
drama and sci-fi as people would really like to believe.
Yeah.
Even Billy talks about the mind control and how the energetic connection to our brain is still in place, and they
Yeah.
use it through energy symbols and transmissions through our movies, through our music, through the media, through the government, through
Yeah.
the stuff that's going on. We are being so fear controlled and so influenced into places of fear that we can't think straight. When you're scared, the last thing you think is about logic and rational behavior. When you're feeling under pressure because things are, you can't afford to pay your rent, you can't afford to buy
It's so
food, you're
true.
losing your
Yeah.
job, your neighbors being a fool, you got people out there being stupid in the streets, and all this stuff that's going on that makes people go into fear. Fear is the medicine, the toxin that keeps us all controllable. And those powers that are in control are doing everything they can to keep us in fear and anger. Fear and
It's
anger,
so
when you
true.
go
Fear
look at
does
the
paralyze
scale,
you. It's
and so does
paralyzing.
anger. Anger
Yeah.
makes you do things that don't make sense. If you look at the scale of emotional feelings,
Fear's
emotional,
at the bottom. Fear and
the
shame.
level, fear and depression and shame are three
And
of the
shame
lowest.
are
But
at the
right
bottom.
above
Yeah.
that is anger.
Yeah.
And um, it was Abraham Hicks, they published a chart that shows the levels of emotions, and I think there's 20 22 or 23 of them. And fear and depression and anger are along the lower ones, but it goes up. And the way he talks about how to reprogram yourself is to do things that take you up a level. Just keep going up a level to the point where you get to the middle. And the middle emotions are easier. They're not positive, but they're not negative
But they're not
and
right. It's on an
meaning.
even plane.
Yeah,
One thing
but
that you
keep
guys can
going
do
up
out
and
there,
going till you get to the level of love. And then you up in the level of love and joy and happiness and sovereignty. Those are the high vibrational frequencies that set you free.
imagine it. Oh, first of all, I wanted to tell people how to get there. The best way to start is to give yourself some positive affirmations. And I know that may sound cliche and things like that, but if you program your head every day into positive affirmations, it's a it's the best way to start. Like
And
if you
the
want
way
to
you got to
raise your
start somewhere.
frequency. Yeah,
You
you
got
have
to
to
start
start with that.
somewhere.
You have to know that everything is working out in my favor. There's beauty in the world. I see it. Whatever it is that you want to say to yourself that is on a positive frequency, do it.
And
Imagine
there's
the
enough
whole world being on
information.
a positive frequency. We would not have none of this
Yep.
shit happening. Okay?
If we
Because
were
the
not so
elites and
programmed to the
yeah,
negative.
all these people, they are rolling off the energy of anything that is negative. This is what feeds them. This is what fuels them. This is what put money in their pockets. So just
Oh,
imagine
and
if
then
we
a lot of
flip
them are
that.
feeding off of the negative energy almost as though it's a drug. I mean, and some
It
of the
is a
stuff
drug to
that
them. It is a
some of
drug,
the stuff
which is
that's
why
in the
sometimes
Epstein
they
files
have
talks
kids,
about
they
the
have kids in
adrenochrome.
fear. And
Yeah,
yeah, I
and
was gonna say, yeah,
I've
they make
seen,
kids scared and they take the kids drug blood and they use the
yeah,
kids'
and
blood in order to like fuel them. They
there were
love
some
fear.
things that I saw several years ago. It was two things that were of note. One was they keep these children. You talk about the hundreds of thousands of children that disappear just in our country every year, and they think that
Some of their
they
parents
get
are giving them
killed.
up to for
They,
the money, honey. Some of
yeah,
their
they
parents
don't
are selling
disappear
them.
into nowhere.
They just
They
don't be
disappear
disappearing on
into
purpose like
these
that.
traps.
Yeah.
But there was one that I saw where they had these children in these cages. And the way they would make them afraid was the cages were electrified. And so they could threaten them and terrify them by giving them small electrical shocks or threatening to shock them to get them into a state of terror
Oh,
before
that's
they drew the
horrible.
blood out. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's one of the things. There was another story, and there's information on about this. I can't remember exactly when I saw this story, but about no, it's got to be longer than that. About 4 or 5 years ago,
Mhm.
there was a story that was on Yahoo about this ship that was, because we have the maritime group there, and they're like the police of the ocean. They keep track of the ships, and they use technology and all this stuff to track the ships.
Mhm.
And the ships are required to give their location by satellite so that the maritime officials know where they are and can track them, and what have you. Anyway, there
Mhm.
was this story about a ship that that had been recorded on the satellite feed
Right.
as being off the coast of Washington State, Oregon, back up in there somewhere. But when they went to try to find the ship, it wasn't where it was supposed to be. So they tracked it, and when they finally found it, the ship was actually in the Atlantic Ocean and had been misfeeding information to the maritime officials and to the satellites so that it could hide. There were three ships that they couldn't find, and all of them were in different locations other than where they said they were. When they found one of the ships, it had been painted all black so that it was hard to see. When they boarded the ship and opened up the hull, they found people
Yeah.
in the hull of the ship that had been held prisoner. Some were adults, but most of them were children. And they said some of the kids had been in the darkness and down in the hole for so long that they were so weak they could not even walk out. They had to bring them out. Some of them died because they had not been in the sunlight for so long. Their systems were overwhelmed by the sunlight. Now, this is something I saw. I think this is one of the things I saw it on Yahoo, but the story behind it was when these guys, the Edge of Wonder guys, had this 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 podcast show. But
Mhm.
anyway, that was one of the things that I heard about, and they talked about these ships. They were all painted black, and that they had been rescuing these people off these ships, and they had taken them to these secret places where some of them were being treated in these hospitals because they were too weak to even be out in sunlight. Um, I mean, there's been so many stories and things that I've read over the years and podcasts that I've listened to and videos that I've seen that I finally got to the point where I had to take my finger out of the socket and I said, I can't do this anymore. After the pandemic is when I was like on overload, and I just really had to back off, and the pandemic kind of was the breaking point for me, and I stopped watching the news. I haven't watched the newscast. Um, or anything. I don't even watch network TV anymore
No,
since the
neither do I. I
pandemic.
don't have it in my house either. I stopped watching the news too because and I haven't watched the news in 15, 20 years actually because I got tired of turning on the news every day and seeing something negative. The first thing they start out is there was a fire in Brooklyn and I'm like, "Oh, how nice." You know what
The
I'm saying? Like
fires and floods are
yeah, and I'm
bad
like,
enough, but
"Why
it's
did
the
they start
people
out with
stories.
that?" Yeah, and they even
And you
lead
know
with
how,
they even lead with negative stories. See
and
us
they
at
end with,
9 as
oh,
we
it
talk
could have
about,
been worse.
the 10 missing
And that's
kids,
what
and you're like,
And
it's
that's
just too
what
much.
one of the things that gets me is when they always end the story with, well, it could have been worse. And it's like, why do you end every story with,
What a
it could
diss.
have been worse? That's telling and giving people permission to imagine a worst case scenario. And
Correct.
that was one of the things but when the pandemic hit and they shut down the planet, which was the reset, it was a pandemic, and it
It
was
was a
bad,
reset
but
for
it
sure.
was a reset for the planet, and nothing has been the same since then. But it was our permission and our the time for the world and people to start seeing a different point of view on the planet, and it did work. We are seeing things differently, but they've been fighting. The powers that be have been fighting ever since to try to keep the dark shadows going and the power over people. That's why things have gone downhill energetically since then, with so much negativity and and control and overwhelm and wars and pictures of floods. If you notice on Facebook,
So true.
there's more pictures of devastation, flooding, uh,
Mm-hmm.
things, people getting killed, and they're even making AI images. And those are the things that Facebook wants to show you.
Yeah,
It
they
doesn't
do.
want to, they mix it in, but they are overwhelmingly about devastation, loss, and
Yeah,
people, creating all of these negative images to terrify people.
to
And that's what
terrify.
they're
Yeah,
for.
that's all it really is. We have
It's
another
all it is.
question here, which is very important. They're asking, what does this mean for the banking system, corporations, and investors? I guess they're asking
Hold
about
on
our
to your
money
butt.
system. Like, what does they worried about
Hold
their
on
money,
to your
Hannah?
butts and your wallets. What it
Yeah.
means is those institutions are going down too. There is something
So does this mean
called,
that we're gonna lose our money in the bank?
not necessarily, but it is going to change. America has been, to talk about it, I'm only talking about it from an American perspective because I know, I mean, England's been in trouble for a long time, and the
Oh
euro
yeah,
and all that stuff. They're all in trouble. But we've been dancing on the edge of disaster for years with the budget that they would only give us, money for the budget for a few months at a time, as opposed to the years that they used to give us. It used to be when the budget was funding allocations came up. It'd be
mm-hmm.
2, 3, 4 years. Now we're down to
Right.
2, 3, 4 months. We're in a shutdown right now.
Mm-hmm.
And we are having, and it's something that seems to happen every couple of months. The thing is, two things. Number one, we have to go to a digital currency. It's part of what the world needs in order for us to continue the economies that support our lifestyles and keep people going. So the digital currencies began with crypto, but that's not going to be the end result, because it's still not a stable industry yet either. But there's something called Nesara, Nesara, and then there's another version called Gesara, Gesara.
Oh wow.
Those two. those two plans they were formulated 20, 30 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
But in order to put them in, to bring them in and to install those two economic systems on the planet, they had to shut down and bring down the other economic systems, or it would look like some kind of takeover. And
Yeah,
that
because I'm
couldn't
reading it
happen.
now.
Yeah,
Wow.
but not only that, but they had to do it in such a way that everybody was kind of like on the same page. So
It's
what
like
they're
what they did
doing
with
now,
the dollar.
well, the thing about it is our dollar is just one currency on the planet. And you have to put things in perspective too. About every 60, 70, 80 years, the global currency shifts. I mean, there was a time when the British pound was the dominating global currency, the Italian lira, the Spanish
Mm-hmm.
peso. All of the major countries in the world have had their day in the sun where their currency was the global currency that everybody used to do business. Well,
Right.
we are the last ones. We are the most recent ones. The American dollar was the global currency. But because they're trying to bring all the systems down and crash them so they can replace them with something new and better, they have to allow them to implode. And so 𝐄𝐒 and 𝐅𝐈𝐋 have been sitting in the wings. These two systems have been sitting in the wings for decades, waiting until such a time when things would collapse enough where they could be installed and we could rebuild. See, the world is not going to come to an end. America is going to survive. Countries are going to survive, but we are
Of
going
course,
to
they
all
all, yeah, of course
we're
they
going to have
will.
to reform ourselves, and that's what's going to happen. It's not the first time. I
So
mean, there was
let
a
me just
time when
read.
Rome was the big, the world power, and look at them now; they're basically a city.
Let me
So
just
it's
read
not like it
something
hasn't happened
from
before.
Nasara. I'm sorry to cut you off, sis. Let me just read because
No,
I'm running out of time, but let me just read. Nasara, National Economic Security and Reformation Act. What it
yeah,
wants to do: eliminate all debts, abolish the IRS, which is what they're trying to do right now. Yo, return the US to a gold backed currency in income tax, release what's that? Suppress technologies. What's that? Remove
a
corrupt
lot of
government
technologies
officials.
that we aren't able to use right now, but are sitting in some storehouse, someplace that's going to revolutionize the planet, like
Oh, yeah, because I
MedBed
always heard
and
that
free
they have
energy and stuff
technology
like
20
that.
years ahead.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, even more than that, but there's a lot of technologies that will benefit the planet, including free energy. But those things are being held because the corporations aren't going to make any money off of it.
Yeah, and bring financial freedom to the nation. Now, just imagine us having that in place, a financially free America. What does that look like for us?
It means rebuilding and being more of a community centered country as opposed to this top down pyramid country where we got a few people in control that have absolute control over over the country.
Hmm.
Um, and it means that we are moving to a new kind of being, and it fits right in with the change in humanity ascending to a different level of being. Now, I'll say this to people who are wondering what that looks like. Look at your children. Our millennials, our Gen Zers and alphas and betas are the new children that were born for this new time. We
Yeah.
used to call them the crystal children and the indigo children and what have you, and we thought they were so different and we were marveled at the abilities they had. But now they're the millennials and the Gen Zers. And when we talk to them and when they look at our lives and the way of being, they don't want it and they don't
No.
understand why we want it. So they are the ones that were born in the late 80s and 90s who are now coming into their own as adults. And they want this new world and they are looking at building something different than we baby boomers and even the Gen Xers have lived with. We want things to stay the same. And they're like, no, we don't want that system anymore. It wasn't working for you guys and we don't want it. And so they are in the process of moving into a different way of being and thinking that requires systemic changes all over the place. But it's got to happen because we are stuck. We are literally stuck in our stuff. And until those changes can take place, we can't move forward as a race of humans that are evolving into this new way of being. When Gene Dixon talked about this whole thing with our governments being part of a universal plan, and we talked about this, the ascension and the humans evolving and growing, that's not a joke.
Yeah.
That's not something that and I know it sounds way out there, so you guys are probably, oh, she's crazy. She doesn't know what she's talking about.
No, but this
Well,
is
I've
a
been
woo-woo
talking about
show,
this
so we're
for
gonna do some
years.
woo-woo
So
shit.
you call me as crazy as you want to. This is real. And I'm at the point now where the disclosure is starting to happen. So all I have to do is wait a few months and you guys are going to be asking me, what did you say? Because before I've been called crazy and all kinds of stuff. Now, because of where I am and what I'm seeing, I understand I'm not crazy at all. I'm
No,
just
you're
ahead.
not.
I've been told I'm ahead of the game. And that's okay. Somebody's got to be out here to kind of explain what's going on, because it's going to make a lot of people crazy to go through this transition. Humanity's never done this before.
No.
And our
This
seniors
is a
are the
brand
ones.
new age.
This is a whole
Yeah,
new game.
it
This
is.
is something we've never done before. And even some of the teachers and leaders that I've studied with for years who thought they knew what the game was going to look like, they're starting to back off and say, we didn't know it was going to look like this.
I
And
know.
they're changing some
They're
of
a little
their
bit like,
goals.
what is going
And
on?
yeah, we're all at the point of, oh, God, we didn't know it was going to be like this. So now what do we do? Roll with it, because what else can you do? Figure it
Exactly.
out as we go.
There are going to be a
Do our
lot of truth
prayers
tellers and
and
seers and
connection.
everything that's going
The
to lead us.
universe is, and our spiritual nature is still in control, always will be. But we've got to get our old ways of being and thinking and all the stories we've been told by a lot of the quote unquote teachers. We got to get the truth out. We've got to get the revelations of what's really going on so we can start to work with that truth. And yeah, it's going to be difficult for a lot of us, but I'm telling you, these younger generations, they're ready and they're
Yeah.
waiting for their time to come.
So what I do see out there is a lot of these kids who are so awakened. It's a beautiful sight to see, and it makes me
Yes,
believe in the future of humanity. It really does. I know
absolutely.
those babies are going to lead the way, and let a child lead the way.
And they've come in with new wiring and new coding and new belief systems, a whole new energetic
It's just a
way
whole
of
new
being.
energetic. Yeah,
Yeah, they're
yeah,
different. And, some of them came in and our system is so chaotic and so irritating that it creates shorts in their system. We call it ADD and autism. But as we move more into the gentler energies of
they
where
have
we're
no idea.
headed, they're going to start to settle
Yeah,
down. And they look at us and wonder, why would you guys create a world like this? It's so irritating and so disharmonious and out of balance. But as
mhm,
they grow up and the planet is changing, the sun is changing, as these new energies settle in, they're going to be the ones who have they have the roadmap. They know how to do this, and they're coming into power. They're in their
yeah,
20s and 30s now, and teens, and so it's going to be up to us, the older ones, to we're the ones going to have the biggest challenge with these new adjustments, because we want things to stay the
not
same.
me.
We
I'm
don't
here
want
with
to change.
y'all young people. I'm here to walk with
I'm
y'all
ready,
hand in hand.
girl.
I'm ready with
I'm trying to
y'all.
stay in
I'm
with you,
ready.
because it's like, yeah, they know what's going on and they can handle it and they know what to do. And I'm a senior. I'm very senior, and I'm very much trying to learn and catch up to what they know and talk to them, because they don't have the challenges that we have trying to accept what's coming and how things need to be.
No,
So
they're
I'm
more
all
open than
ready to,
what we were. So that's
yeah.
for sure. They're way more open.
They're beautiful souls that are on this planet for a reason at this point in time. We just have to let them grow up and not make them too crazy, as with all of our shit, because that's
Yeah,
what we're doing.
exactly.
And
Yeah,
and let them grow up so that they can show us the way,
yeah,
because they already know. They were born with knowing what that new way is going to be. And the new technologies and things that are coming out, they're ready for it.
yeah, they are. What are your closing remarks tonight for this episode, sis?
Do not close your mind to the things that are coming. It will make it harder and more difficult because the planet and the solar system, it's changing. It has to happen. It's a universal process. It's not something that we decided to do. In fact, we really don't have anything to do with it. We are on this journey for the ride. So open your minds, open your heart, try to embrace the energies like we talked about: love, compassion, patience, tolerance, understanding, balance, harmony, uh, looking at things with an open mind, with a new perspective. That's what's going to make this transition easier. And
Hmm.
definitely, stay in touch with your spiritual self. It's the
Awesome.
truth of the matter is, you are a divine creation of a magnificent creator. You are here on this time, at this time, on this planet for a reason. This is no accident that you are here. If you will just allow spirit to guide you and to help you see the truth and let go of this desire to keep things the way they were, it's going to be all right. It's impossible for you to not be okay unless you resist
Hmm.
the the new way of being. The new human is already on the planet, and you're one of them. But you do have to change the way you see things in order for this to work for you. So, you know, be unconditional with your love for yourself and for others. Be compassionate and patient with those who are still trying to find their way. And, most of all, just try to love yourself, because that's going to be the hardest part. Some people have a hard time with self love because they have a lot of guilt, they have a lot of anger, of resentment, regret, and all that stuff. All that's the low end of that emotional chart. Let it go. And I know it's like, how can I let this go? I did this, I did that, and they did this to me. And yeah, they did. But that was. It's not, you have the choice to decide, I'm going to carry this burden and drag this drama all along and keep being mad and angry and in pain about it. Or I can put this crap down because it's not even your energy. These are things that other people have done, that have taught you and have betrayed you and done things to you. You can choose, and it's not necessarily easy, but you can decide, you know what, I'm done with all that stuff. I'm going to change and become a new person because I'm tired of being hurt. I'm tired of being sad. I'm tired of being mad. I want something better. Nobody can fix this for you. These are choices you have to make.
Amen. So just wanted to say thank you for joining us tonight. Let me tell you, love is the highest frequency you can be on. That's the best frequency and the highest frequency you can be on. And with love comes change and what's about to happen on this earth. I just see a lot more people coming together and loving on each other.
And themselves, because love starts with you. Appreciation and joy. Find ways of bringing more of that into your life. You'll find ways to love yourself and others when you're happy about it.
Yeah, and
But too many of
stop
us
on
are
this like
still holding on
this
to.
fear, that
Yeah,
fear. Stop
fear.
being so
The
fearful of
fear.
your environment and what's going on in the world. Don't do that. Fight back. Fight back the fear. Fight back the
Fear
fear.
is
There's
only
really
there
nothing
to
to fear but
control
fear
you.
itself. There's nothing
Fear,
to
you know
fear.
how people act when they're
It's
afraid?
just an
They
illusion.
lose their minds and they do things that they make great mistakes, and they do things that make things worse. So think about,
It's
do
true.
you
Yeah.
choose to make things worse or make things better? Your reaction, and you are the only one that can react, control your reaction. You are in control. This is all about you. And if you take the time to go within, connect with your spiritual self, it'll be a lot easier. And as we move forward, just remember, you are not out of control unless you allow yourself to go out of control. All
Mhm.
this is about you making decisions that are supportive of the planet and supportive of your new life. It's going to be wonderful. It's only going to be a few years of real challenge and difficulty, and then we're going to come out the other side. But in the meantime, well, all I can say is just remember, it's going to be okay.
Yep.
Everything's going to be okay.
Stay
It's
aware, stay
impossible
powerful,
not
and
to be
stay
okay.
extraordinary, guys. Thank you for joining us. And we will
Yes.
see you next week.
Bye,
Thank you.
everybody. And come next week, we're going to talk, maybe we'll talk a little bit more about this and how things are as we're moving towards this beginning of the new year around the spring
Oh, we
equinox.
really should. Yeah, we
Yeah,
really
the
should
things
talk
you can
about
do to
what to
prepare
expect in the spring
because
equinox.
that's
Yeah,
actually the new year. The new
it
year. And
is.
remember, time
Oh, and it's
changes
right
in
around the
2
corner,
weeks.
y'all. Yeah,
Yeah, time
that's
changes
it.
in 2 weeks. So it's time
Yeah.
to get ready and do something. Do something fun. Hug somebody. Hug yourself. You can
Good
do
night,
that. Hug
everybody.
yourself.
Use the best, Sister Sophia. Good night.
Good night, everybody.
Oh, use the best.